Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death.
Marvel Studios boldly broke with comic book convention in the Fantastic Four. First steps by recasting Silver Surfer as Shalla-Bal rather than the more conventional Norrin Radd, but this turned out to be a far better choice. Along with the legendary Silver Surfer, Marvel's first family is brought to the MCU timeline in the Fantastic Four. First steps. Instead of presenting a startling turn of events, the switch to Silver Surfer raises the emotional and narrative stakes, and offers a welcome development to a character who, despite his iconic status, has always been more of a cosmic symbol than a compelling person. In 1966's Fantastic Four number 48, Silver Surfer made his debut as a messenger of Galactus, a cosmic being that feeds on planets to survive. Silver Surfer was first introduced as Norrin Radd, a noble astronomer from the planet Zenla. He made a deal with Galactus, agreeing to spare his world in return for acting as the World Devourer's scout and locating new planets for him to eat. Due to this tragic Faustian deal, the Surfer gained a great deal of power and a moral quandary that has shaped the character for many years. Because of his stoic manner, introspection, and inner turmoil, Norrin was both awe-inspiring and unapproachable in the comics. Shalla-Bal's most well-known role in Marvel Comics mythology is that of Norrin Radd's beloved, who was abandoned when he became Galactus' herald. Throughout decades of comic storytelling, the Silver Surfer and Shalla-Bal's anguish at being parted has been a recurrent emotional theme. She only shows up as a love interest at first, but later Tailies gave her more responsibilities, and she became the Empress of Zenla, a strong and morally nuanced leader in her own right. The existence of Shalla-Bal frequently represented Norrin's lost humanity and the life he gave up. But as the years passed, she developed into more than just a symbol. She became a noteworthy figure with her own goals and obligations. Marvel changes Shalla-Bal from a narrative device to a narrative driver by reversing the dynamic and making her the Silver Surfer herself in the MCU. Although Norrin Radd's sacrifice has always been seen as admirable, his reasons were very personal and possibly naive. Without thinking about the innumerable other planets that would be doomed as a result, he offered to serve Galactus in order to save one, his own. Being the Empress of Zenla, Shalla-Bal, however, bears the burden of her entire civilization. She is more relatable and has more thematic weight because her choice to strike a deal with Galactus seems more rooted in the obligation of a ruler to protect her subjects. The Silver Surfer's long-standing flaw, that Norrin Radd is essentially a blank slate, is also addressed by this modification. Despite his philosophical depth, he is frequently underdeveloped and presented more as a vehicle for moral dilemmas than as a compelling person, since a large portion of the Silver Surfer's essence is found in the role rather than the character. Replacing him with Shalla-Bal doesn't diminish anything fundamental about the character. However, it also adds a more nuanced viewpoint, particularly if her internal struggles and Empress past are portrayed on screen. The MCU enriches and tightens the story by refocusing the character on Shalla-Bal, because the Silver Surfer directly bears the consequences of her decision and may have to confront the possibility of becoming what she once feared. The story's emotional stakes are maintained, if not elevated. Expanding the roles of female characters in legacy roles is one way that Marvel Studios has demonstrated a consistent commitment to diversifying its cast of heroes. Since many of the iconic Marvel characters were developed almost 60 years ago, they are skewed toward white men and represent the culture of the day. Some of these must be diversified to reflect contemporary society in order to bring them into the modern era. The MCU has already done this in some successful ways by choosing characters who are more appropriate for a different gender or race. By choosing a female Silver Surfer, the MCU has expanded the range of its female characters and added a little more interest to the Silver Surfer's backstory. By avoiding the cliché of female characters existing only to inspire male heroes, the transformation provides a strong new face for an iconic mantle. In addition to being a logical progression that respects the spirit of the original work, while utilizing the storytelling flexibility granted by the MCU, Shalla-Bal's portrayal of the Silver Surfer goes beyond simply gender swapping for diversity. Crucially, Norrin Radd is not removed from the canon by this action. He might still be a part of Shalla-Bal's past, or even show up later on, maybe as another Zenlavian who was moved by her sacrifice. However, Shalla-Bal provides Fantastic Four first steps with a more relevant arc, more conflict, and more dimension as a narrative focal point.
That concludes our review for today, but the discussion is far from over. For more, leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more videos. Keep the magic of movies alive until the next time, signing off from fkbytes.